11 a.m. EST. I'm going solo today, so you're stuck with me. Okay, so we had a lot of moving news, and the Fed. The Fed was yesterday a pretty wild day, especially in the yen. S&Ps faded big time, and now we have to trade through what may be the biggest number of the week is going to be the non-farm payroll. So, that's going to really give us direction to whether we're going to complete this push up for higher yields or they've already peaked. And if the dollar has one more hurrah above that 106.50, let's start there. So yesterday we put in, when you look at, that's a negative week too. So write this down, closes back under 106.11 by tomorrow aren't going to look too good. It'll be a 2-week reversal. Okay, so I'd like to see it if we have a strong number close above that. But the thing that's most interesting to me is this high right here at 106.49 never took out this high of 106.5170. I would have been more bearish if they had tripped the stops and made a new high and then came off the way it did. But, it came off pretty good, but it still could be a triangle. So where am I wrong and I have to get short the dollar would be back under 105. That says the top is in to me, and the double top would be good. But, I still think there's a chance we could make one more push up. The other thing that gives me a little pause is on Monday, I said, the dollar index could make a new high with a failing rally in Canada. And so far that's the case. So there are a couple conflicting signals. If you trade the yen, you're very brave. Okay. Monday I said it was a no touch. Pretty, if you shorted it here, even when there's artificial things happening in the market, it's amazing how markets will retrace to important levels. This was where it turned lower on the intervention that we had earlier this week, and I think they spent 30 billion. So we bottomed and rallied back to the reversal point. So charts really are the market's memory being expressed in candles and bars. Taking a look at cable, it looks even a little heavier to me than euro. And, I still think that cable was, I said earlier in the week, it would test, at a minimum, I would wait for it to test its weekly off number, which is down here, way down here, 2365. So that's still 120 pips away at 2365. That would be implying that that was a low in cable and we're just going to put in a higher low, maybe near the off number. I don't rule out a move to 122. I'm going to be able to gauge all these things based upon what happens in the euro. Euro pound is popping a little bit. I said sell rips. I think I was saying 85.80. I still think you sell this rally, that this 85 level is going to melt next time we get to it. And Aussie showing relative strength, did a scalp yesterday, but you can see it's acting pretty good. That's the relative strength. Right now looks like the weakness is cable. So I still believe that euro and cable are euro for sure, not for sure. That doesn't exist in this business, but I think both cable and euro could take out the lows that we put in. It was about 2 weeks ago. So that's what I'm looking for, and then long-term buys to develop. So one more high, if we get one more push up towards 107, I do believe that if there were a lot of stops over the high here on Tuesday, April 16th, the fact that we did not take out this high, that high, tells me there are a ton of buy stops just above that high, because these people that put their stops, a couple pips above the high, miraculously, they didn't get picked off. So now it probably brought in new dollar shorts, and they could end up being right. But I know, like people say, Dale, how do you know where the stops are? And I just say, well, where would you put yours? And they would tell me, well, above the swing high. I go, well, that's where everyone's stops are. So, we'll see if that plays out. I think if we get a stop run up there and head up towards 107, that's going to be used for longs to have liquidity to sell into, and new shorts will enter because I am looking for a peak here, have been for a while. Taking a look at metals, silver went to 26. I talked about 26. Maybe that's it. The breakout comes in a little lower, but I'm conflicted about it because the miners didn't get to levels that I thought they could get to before I buy them. And, SILJ down here. AG's given up some pretty good ground, but I think it could still fall some more. I know Newmont's up, but after coming off, and GDX is up a bit, but this is where I want to buy GDX. Okay, I have the fibs here. So you could see I need more weakness in the precious metals for that to manifest. I'm figuring between halfway back, which is 30.70, and 61.8 back at 29.52. Makes me think that maybe the metals don't have the big downside, but the fact that these miners are still stocks, if I'm right about one more decline to 48 or lower in S&Ps, and I think there's too much company at 4,800, it's either not going to get there or melt through it. I'll go with the latter, more towards 46 and a half. That's a fib level. That would take the miners down. When the market's under a lot of pressure, um, you know, traders throw the babies out with the bathwater. They're pressured to raise cash. Maybe they have a little money made in the miners, and all of us amateurs sell our winners and hold our losers. So that could happen. I do want to point out in the precious metals, I was talking about a reversion trade in platinum and gold, where you're short gold and you're long platinum. This has come in quite a bit in about a week since I first started talking about it. Even today, with gold down $14, you have platinum up 15. You're picking up $30 on that spread. So if you put it on when I first talked about it, take some profits, right? It's not a profit till you ring the register. Take a third, a half off, and then if it widens out again, you'll probably have more confidence to re-enter the trade. So I wanted to touch on that. We also have Apple earnings tomorrow. So here's the S&Ps. It really had kind of a very wild day yesterday because it was up big into right here, this wick at 5,100. And so within an hour or so, it was unchanged to lower on the day. It's trying to fight its way back. Can we have a big rally still back to 5,150? Yes, as long as this low holds. Under this low, I'm going to start looking at it as some type of bear flag, and that would be a breakdown. I do think that the fate of the S&Ps are also going to be determined. See here, it looked like a false breakdown. Let's give it the benefit of the doubt that um, this would break trend under today's lows. And if it's a flag, you just take 350 handles from here and tack it onto the breakdown. And that's going to give you 46 and a half, which would, panic the 4,800 guys and actually trade down to the 200 day, down here. I bought some VIX calls, June 18s. VIX is down today, down 44 with the market rallying. trying it here, believing this low is going to hold, and there's going to be one more rally. That this is 78% back. This rally was about $9. So if we get a money wave and get back above 21, you're talking 25 to 28. Should we get that C wave back down in the S&Ps? I want to talk a little bit about yields and especially TLT, which is coming back here today. So yesterday, the Fed cut back on QT, and they actually cut back more than expected by the market on, running off treasuries, okay, at a slower pace. They did not change the pace of QT in MBS. And it's not a trade, but it's something that I thought about. Well, why would the Fed do that? They're in business too. Could it be that policies risk in what mortgage-backed securities are for in the real estate market, and feels that they don't have the same type of downside in treasury bonds that you might have in mortgage-backed securities? Just something to think about. Um, we did have a breakdown in WTI. It talked about 80. Uh, you know, this looks like a failing rally to me, and kind of like I don't. It's almost like, who cares what's happening in the Middle East? That looks ugly. Um, Probably some people looking to buy a break, but I don't see why this can't happen from here. So I see nothing to do, and that also should be supportive. That this was supportive of the equity rally. The oil shares still aren't really getting killed. So I think that's about it that I really wanted to cover. So we'll see what happens with the dollar tomorrow. Here we are. We're under the off number, and tomorrow is really going to be a big day in the markets. We'll see if there's any let up in the strength of employment numbers. But you're ready for either thing, right? At new highs, you're ready to sell. Okay, and that would probably be into next week. And if we close back under this old resistance at like 105.10, then you know that the top is in, and you look for a tactical entry that there will be. Okay, you could miss the first wave of a trade and fade wave two or B. So that's what I'd see until tomorrow. I tell you what, I'll come back on tomorrow, and we'll see how the world has changed, and should have a better idea of what to do in the week after this, after the dust settles tomorrow. Remember, don't just count your pips, count your blessings. One thing I did forget to talk about on the S&Ps, at the beginning of the week, I said the most bearish thing that the S&Ps could do, because we had an inside week. So I want to teach you guys about these things. So we had an inside week. Last week's range was inside the prior week's range, and last week's high was 51.18. So we did take out last week's highs at 51.25, about 25 handles short of my zone. But we have a long way to go to take out last week's lows, but anything can happen. That would be 49.30. That's 100 handles from here. No, 49.70. So 49.70 was last week's lows. If we take those out and close underneath it, I don't think many people would want to be long, and maybe you should consider cutting your exposure as well. So you have some cash to try and buy it if there's another wave up in this bull market. So hope this is helping. If it is, give me that thumbs up down there. Share it with your friends that are struggling to trade. Say you found a mentor on YouTube who not only gives you ideas that are actionable, but explains them to you so that you can become independent of me and everyone and dependent on nobody but yourself. Have a great rest of the day. See everyone tomorrow after the NFP and see you in the room. Adios.